Before we start our meeting today, we might have a little echo in here. We don't have all the drapes up yet. We just got one set. When we get all the drapes up on both sides, we won't have so much echo. It's a great day to be up here in this building. It's still under construction. We have the fire department standing by with fire extinguishers and a fire truck, and we're well protected. We got a couple of police officers, so we're okay. Before we start today, we're going to have the pledge, and we're going to have an invocation, and the invocation is going to be given today by Pastor John Reynolds from the Calvary Baptist Church. But before that, we do that, we want to stress that you don't have to participate in the invocation. If you'd rather not, you don't have to. And whether or not you participate will not affect what you've come here to do today. We open this invocation up to all races, denominations, creeds, and individuals, and this is given for the benefit, in this case, of the Board of Works or the City Council, what it might be. So with that, I'd like for us all to stand, and Mike Bishop will lead us in the pledge.
It's an honor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you remain standing, Pastor Reynolds, he this morning had a fireman's mother that was buried today, Mrs. Reese, Mike Reese's mother, and I would like you to remember the Reese family. Thank you.
Let's pray. God, we come before you today, Lord Jesus, and our hearts are heavy, God, for the lost loved one of a firefighter, God, and we come before you today, and God, we're family, God, in this community. We're thankful for a tight-knit community, God, and I pray that much will be done in both these meetings, both this afternoon and also this evening. I pray that much will be accomplished, and Lord, we do pray for your favor to be shown here in Connersville. Again, God, we pray that we would be a community that depends upon you, that seeks you, that knows you. And God, we come before you today and we invite you into this time of discussion. We pray for wisdom. We pray for our mayor and councilmen and councilwomen, God, and all those that are decision makers for our community today, Lord. We pray for your mind. We pray for your heart. We pray, God, that you would just lead us to your ways and your will. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
The official start of the meeting, and the first order of business be roll call.
Jane Oakley. Present. Fran Schommel.
Present.
Leonard Urban.
Present.
Mike Bishop.
Present.
Ron Coldiron.
Present.
Let the record show that all Board of Works members are here. We have a quorum and we can do business. The second item of business today would be the reading minutes of the last board meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the minutes of the last meeting as they were presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the minutes of the last Board of Public Safety and Works. Are there any additions or corrections? None appearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. They stand approved as read. I ask that everybody turn off their cell phones, put them on vibrate or shut them off. Under new business today, we have Jackie Pennington. We don't know who she is, but if she'd come forth and talk about the banner for higher praise.
We just need permission to put up our banner for our yearly auction.
Okay, if you'll step into the mic so the public can hear you.
We just need permission to put up a banner for our yearly auction. The auction is August 29th, April 27th. We'd like it put up on 98th if possible.
Is that available, Melissa?
You might mention who you are or who you're
It's for
representing.
Higher Praise Worship Center, I'm sorry.
I move, Your Honor, that we accept this request to hang a banner for higher praise auction April the 8th through the 29th.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Jackie. The item B, our attorney, Mr. Baker, has talked with them this morning. They would like to put that off until April, so I would like to skip that item. It is an official business item, so if I could have a motion to table that until the April meeting.
So moved, Mayor.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to table item B, approval to bury an optic cable, since Mr. Baker has talked with them and they requested that. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We'll table that until April. Item C is approval to use the streets for the J.C. go-kart race. This is in connection with the bicentennial, so Robbie, you'll come forth. Speak into that mic, Robbie. Hold it up to you.
Would ask for the approval to get the streets for June 29th and 30th for our go-kart race downtown.
I have one question, Robbie. You're going to close that during the day, but you'll open it up at night?
Limited to the highlighted area on your map. We really can't tear it completely down and reset it back up Sunday morning. I mean, we could, but it'd be a lot of work.
Okay, will Central be open at night?
Central, not between 5th and 6th Street.
Okay, I had an objection from the business owners. They didn't like that. They don't mind you closing it during the day, but they wanted to be open at night. Some discussion from the board.
Isn't that Saturday night and Sunday?
That's Saturday.
Saturday night.
Okay.
Saturday night would be the only night it'd be closed. One thing we did do different this year, we're going to keep the courthouse parking lot open so it can be accessible. I know that maybe last year caused an issue with the bar owners for people not being able to have parking spots and get to it so they can walk across the street to the bars or whatnot, but we are going to leave that open.
The lady that owns the bar across the street from City Hall objected to that. She said that closes her off completely and it was her worst night. Is there any way we can get where she can be open and have access to her in the back and the front? Like,
I mean, people would have to walk less than a half a block. It's the only thing
How much work's required to tear down Central and reopen it?
quite a bit.
What's quite a bit? I mean,
4 or 5 hours with manpower, and then we also have to take the stuff, put it somewhere in a building, and then bring it back and reset it up again the next morning early.
Would it be possible to leave Central open and just have no parking? Could you just leave the street open and have no parking? Would that?
I don't think Central's the issue with the bar there. It's the Fifth Third parking lot. Access to that is what she's probably arguing. That's where my office is right next door, and that's where my parking spaces, and then also the Fifth Third parking lot is what she's saying she needs access to.
So that wouldn't be an option then? It's
Not really, but there again, that's why we were leaving the courthouse parking lot open so you would have access to get to it. So, I mean, virtually they'd have to walk a couple hundred feet, I mean, down Central to the alley. Either one.
what did we do last year? Is this
Last year that was closed off, so there wasn't any access for parking, and I think that was the issue. There was no direct parking. People had to park a block away and walk to the bar.
There's access to her building from the rear and the front.
Excuse me?
From the alley, is the alley also blocked?
I mean, that's what everybody uses to that bar, I'm assuming, is the alley is the most popular.
it's blocked too, though, isn't it, at both ends?
Yes, it would be blocked off, but there again, the courthouse parking lot, parking there, you could either walk down the alley or walk up Central.
Could I ask you and the chief of police to meet with her and see if you compromise some way and come back next time. I mean, we still got 3 months before we're gonna do it.
Yes, sir.
I think everybody up here wants to accommodate whatever you want, but we've got to be careful we don't shut her
Right,
up.
I understand that completely.
Any comment?
Is that the only business area in that block?
That's the only one that I feel that somebody's had a problem with. Everybody else I've talked to and kind of talked to them pre-handed last year. I even made arrangements for that particular business last year for some other things, but it was there again.
I understand, okay,
The
thank you.
barber shop would have a problem, but they can park in the city lot.
He didn't, Doyle, they didn't have any problems. I spoke with them, they were all good. You know, most of their business is early in the morning.
Well, I'd like for you and the police chief to talk to them, see if there's some compromise we can make to make it work for everybody.
Sounds good.
Unless the board wants to approve this today, I don't know how you feel.
Same with revisit next meeting.
You gotta speak loud.
I move that we revisit this next meeting after the chief and Robbie have had a chance to talk
Is
to
there a second to that?
Yes.
We have a motion and a second, and we revisit this after we can talk to the business owners in that area, and be sure that we can have some sort of compromise. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
We got a request for a bucket ride by the Fayette County Cancer Society on May the 18th. Shirley?
Hi, I'm Shirley Counselor, President of the Fayette County Cancer Society, and we'd like to request a bucket drive for May the 18th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and our locations would be at 6th and Grand and 24th and Grand, and the monies collected from the bucket drive goes to help the cancer patients of Fayette County.
What's your pleasure?
I move we approve the bucket drive for May 18th for the Fayette County Cancer Society.
We have a motion and a second to request that, request for a bucket drive on May the 18th. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Request for a bucket drive
Thank
for
you.
the after-prom party on April 6th. Ms. Westerfield, Mr. Westerfield. It's ringing, John. Can you turn it down a little bit so it doesn't ring? He's over there at the sunboard.
Here he comes in the door, right?
Go ahead, Mr. Westerfield.
Good afternoon. My name's Lenny Westerfield, and I'm representing the Carnesville High School 2013 After Prom Committee. And I'm here to request a bucket drive for the After Prom on April 6th.
Same locations,
Yes, sir.
3 or 2?
All three locations.
What's your pleasure, folks?
We done this before, Lenny?
Yes, sir, we have.
Okay.
Last year. I move that we accept this, Your Honor, for this bucket drive for the after prom for Mr. Westerfield on April 6th.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the after-prom committee a bucket drive on April 6th. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Bottomley, will you come over and move the podium over? We can hardly see the individual that's talking to us. We got plenty of room, so just move it over a little bit.
It's still ringing.
Yeah, that's John. He'll take care of it.
Ringing, I should say.
Come this way. Come
Yeah.
this way somewhat, so. Yeah, that's
Nelson
good.
Dave.
Okay, we have Donna Did I miss somebody? Huh? Andy Benz. How could I miss Andy? I'm sorry, Donna, jumped the gun.
Yes, last couple of years, you people have been kind enough. I'm representing the E.W. Tatman Underprivileged Children's Christmas Fund. And the last few years, you've been kind enough to okay a boot drive for us also. Traditionally, it's been on the first Saturday in October. We're requesting the same date, which would be Saturday, October the 5th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at 6th and Grand and 24th and Grand. And I'll personally pick the materials up from the street department on Friday, and I'll return them on Monday morning.
You've heard the request. What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to accept this E.W. Tappan Christmas Fund Drive for Bucket Drive, October 5th.
I'll second.
Got a motion on the floor to accept this fund drive on October 5th by the Tappan Christmas Fund. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
I do want to say, Andy, I came up from State Road 121 Saturday morning, and there were 6 people, not your group, but there were 6 people out in the road, and only 2 had vests on. And we've got to insist that anybody that's out in that road have a vest on because it's state law. You got to have that reflective vest on.
We will take care of it. Yes, sir.
And we need to get that word out to everybody that does a bucket drive. You must be out there with a vest on, and not 6 people, just 2.
Okay,
Where you see it?
Yes, it's different group.
Okay, now Donna, we're ready for you, and she is in native costume today. This is how it might have looked in what year? 1893? 1863. I just didn't remember that far back. You're going to have to speak into the microphone, Ms. Schroeder. Now, in 1863, you had to talk through a bullhorn, but today we have a microphone.
I know I had to drive one of those machines you people use too. My skirt won't fit. I'm here for 3 purposes today. I have an invitation, I have a request, and I have a brief history lesson. Do you care which one I do first?
You go right ahead, you have the floor.
Okay. The history lesson involves a little town that probably none of you have ever heard of, and the name is Abbeville, South Carolina. My great-great-grandparents came here from there in the early 1820s. Abbeville is known as the cradle and the deathbed of the Confederacy. The Articles of the Confederacy were first read there, and after the war ended, Jefferson Davis fled there to the home of his friend, a Confederate general. The house still stands. What that leads me to is that you also know where Everton is. I don't know if you know the little town that used to thrive there, a little hamlet called Bentley. And that was the home of many of the Scotch-Irish who came to this county from Abbeville, South Carolina, in that area. So that was the early 1820s. When the Civil War came, or the unpleasantness as it's known in Abbeville, many of the sons of those people joined the Union Army. And I was thinking about this morning, how my great-great-grandmother must have felt when 2 of her sons went off to war, and she knew quite well that in a swamp or a forest or in a burning city, they might be forced to decide whether or not to shoot their cousins because her brothers stayed in Abbeville. And so I'm hoping that that brief history lesson will give us a basis for understanding that Fayette County really did, aside from sending soldiers to fight, there were probably a lot of high emotions here. And because it would have been heartbreaking to know that So that leads me to the reenactment at Elmhurst on April the 19th. It's going to be for the middle school students. And I certainly hope that on the next day you'll go out and visit Elmhurst. We have there's a deeper history here than I think what we think of. Gil Blood Smith lived at Elmhurst. He was Lincoln's Secretary of the Interior, and also thriving here, and I suspect because of some of those Southern settlers, was a chapter, in fact, I think this is where it began, the Knights of the Golden Circle. They were Southern sympathizers. The reason that you don't know where Caleb Smith is buried is that the Knights of the Golden Circle had threatened to get his body and drag it through the streets. And so we have a pretty rich history in Fayette County. On April the 20th, we want to invite you to come to the Canal House, and we'll have it staged as a house in mourning. On the 19th, Historic Connersville and the Bicentennial are planning to take the 7th graders on a Civil War tour of the city cemetery. And but on the 20th, you can come to Canal House or go to Elmhurst and kind of see the history of the Civil War. That leads me to my request. We have a group called the Northwest Long Hunters that will be here during the Bicentennial. They are, we don't call them a reenactment, but they are people who come and demonstrate how people in the late 1700s and early 1800s would have lived and camped and so on and so forth. They will come and make their encampment, and they need to have campfires. So as you see in your request, I've asked them, or I'm asking you to allow them to dig some places in the sod, which they say after the encampment they will carefully replace the sod. If there's a drought, they will bring braziers that are contained vessels that would use charcoal. They will also be demonstrating how muskets and whatever were made and how they fired. There will be no ammunition, no live ammunition, but it will involve the noise and the smoke and the small explosion from the powder. And they will also have knives with them because, of course, the early settlers had knives. And on July the 4th, during Gail Halberstadt's Red, White, and Blue Day, we're planning a cannon firing. That will involve also more black powder, but no actual cannonballs, of course. And those reenactors, the Civil War reenactors, have also asked if they could have a couple of campfires at their campsite with the same understanding that they would replace, we would make it as much as possible back to its original condition in the park. These are both activities in the park. So that's my history lesson, that's my invitation, and that's my request.
Okay, Donna, the city attorney and our insurance provider and myself got to go to Indianapolis to learn how to have festivals and learn how to do things like you're talking about. And Fire Chief, if you'll come forward, we have a city ordinance that prevents fires in the city. We also have a city ordinance you can't fire a gun in the city. However, I think the Board of Works has the right to say that you can under certain circumstances, and this is going to be a celebration. So what we need to do is get the fire chief. Probably we will need, these fires are going to be in the park on that day. And do you know how many about?
About 14 campsites for the Long Hunters, and I'd estimate 3 or 4 on the 4th of July.
And those will be at the cemetery?
No, those would be also in the park.
In the park.
The cannon
Okay.
firing will be.
What this board needs to approve then is for the fire chief to assign a fire watch up here, probably with part-time firemen or whatever that might have a truck and be able to control fires if anything would get out of hand. And I think we should do this, but there is a definite way we got to do it. And I just learned this word the other day. It's called fire watch. And so, Fire Chief, will you allude to that? You went to a seminar on Saturday. Step up to the mic and
I think we'll be able to work this out. I talked to Adrian this morning some about some of the events. Me and Dave and Adrian and the other public safety are going to have some meetings with them. As long as they follow some of the codes and laws, we should be all right.
Okay.
Of course, if the weather's out of control on that day, you know, we probably wouldn't be able to. It just depends.
Well, I want this board, when they approve this, to remember that you are okaying him to hire part-time firemen to do this fire watch both places. And like I say, I agree we need to do it. We just want to be very careful so everybody's protected and safe.
We'll make sure it's safe.
Okay. Is there any issue with taking them separately, or can we just take the cannon fire and the fires together?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, question.
The cannon's just going to, you're not going to shoot a projectile out.
No.
Not
Not unless you want to volunteer to be the projectile. No, there won't be any cannonballs or just a lot of smoke and
I don't
noise.
think it'll be an issue as long as there's no projectile coming out of the cannon, Your Honor. It's just a blast at the end of the far one side thing.
John, does this board have a right to overrule a city ordinance?
You can make an exception for a given period of time for a given purpose.
Okay, then I need a motion into
Can I
that.
ask a question first?
Yeah.
How long are these fires going to be burning? Are they going to be burning 24 hours, or are they going to be burning for just during the day, or?
I'm going to guess probably they cover them, or I can come back and I can find that out from the lady we've been corresponding with, but I would think that at night they would probably put them out or cover them.
Okay.
Do they sleep in the park too?
Oh, yeah,
So they'll stay here that night?
right.
What area of the park are you looking at, Donna?
The Long Hunters will be to the northeast of the covered bridge in that grassy area. And I believe Gail's area is closer to the Miller Building over in that grassy area. And as I said, if there is a drought, they will bring their braziers and there won't be any open fire. I mean, it would just be charcoal, more like a barbecue.
We've made a policy among the city. We're going to ask each one of those people that are going to do that to sign a disclaimer that they don't hold the city responsible if someone gets burned. John will have those disclaimers. He has samples of them now, and he'll have those prepared. And that's a very simple thing. You just sign a disclaimer to protect the city and the Bicentennial Committee that if you burn yourself or fall in the fire, you don't hold the city responsible.
I've met with that lady, and I have a copy of their insurance rider.
We'll need a copy of that given to...
They have a proof of insurance that is considerable, and it's...
We'll need that given to the
Lloyd's
city
of
clerk
London,
treasurer.
So we'll make sure that that comes to you.
Yeah, to the city clerk treasurer. Okay. Any further discussion? John, did you have any questions?
No, on the insurance, we want to make sure that the city of Connersville is named as a named insured. That's very, very important.
Okay. All of those disclaimers and all of those insurance things will be reviewed by our law department and then be on file. Any more discussion?
No, Mayor, I'd like to make the motion to approve this under the stipulation that I guess our fire chief would make the final call as to the weather conditions, be windy or maybe too dry, but sure appreciate the efforts. I think they're doing a fine job.
Okay.
I will second that with the understanding that this is not setting a precedent. It's done by exception only, and I second the motion, Your Honor.
This is a big exception. This is the bicentennial. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Donna, we got you covered.
Thank you very much, and we'll be in close contact with the fire department and the police department, and And if I were really in mourning, I want you to know that I would have to wear this. And this, no white, no anything. I would be in black for 1 year and 1 day. Wow. And anyway, I hope everybody will come out in April, and then I hope you'll visit us during the bicentennial. And I thank you for your help.
Donna, you missed one thing.
What?
On April 20th in the evening, we're having a chicken feed over at the Miller Building.
Absolutely,
You
don't
want
miss
to talk about that?
Don't even think about planning anything else that weekend. It's all about history. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I pray it's not 90 degrees the day you have to wear that. It'd be mighty warm.
Well, kind sir, I might have to take to my bed if that happens.
Thank you.
Okay, we have an item, extension of purchase agreement. It's written on mine. What am I talking about, Melissa? Okay, what has happened here is the people that purchased the Vistion building asked for an extension, which you gave to them, to exist until the 31st of March. They came back in writing just after our last board meeting and asked for an extension to extend to the 31st of May. And I told them that since the request wasn't even up until the end of March, we still have 2 weeks, that we would take it up at today's meeting. There's some pro and con. When you give the extension, you are taking the building off of the market, and we don't get leads from the state when we don't have a building that's available. However, if you keep the building and give them the extension and they're able to complete it and put jobs in there, we would be in great shape. However, again, we are working with 2 separate companies that are interested in going into that building, and it keeps us from doing most anything with them until after this extension be over. So we need some extension we need some discussion today of whether or not you would like to move forward with this extension.
Why are they asking for the extension, Your Honor?
They want more time to find their renter or their purchaser. Remember when we sold this building to them, this is a company that buys buildings and tries to put them back to work. But we have given them a 3-month extension the first time.
They've had several months to do this, haven't they? It started way back in the fall, didn't it?
We actually started back in August or September, John. Can you give me the exact date we started?
I don't recall the exact date, but they've had several months, plus an extension of 2-3 months more, so they've had quite a bit of time. But it's been in effect probably 6 to 8 to 9 months now.
I don't want to make a quick decision, but I do want you to discuss it openly here in public forum. Anybody out there have any comment on the issue? I don't know whether anyone came here today to represent the company or not.
Personally, Your Honor, I believe they've had ample time to get done what they think they need to get done. And we've given them the opportunity of a 3 months extension farther. And to your point, it's taking the building off the market, and if we have potential buyers that's looking at it, that's going to discourage them just that much longer. That's my opinion.
Have they given you any indication that they are close to an agreement?
No. No. They just asked for the extension, and they wanted to work with the people that might be leasing it or might be purchasing it. Ronnie, do you have any?
Have they offered any escrow money or anything?
The escrow money went hard back in, I'd say October or November.
I guess this is additional for an extension. Have they offered anything?
They have not offered any money to extend it. And in the agreement, when we gave this first extension, they agreed if we give them that extension, they would agree that the money went hard and they would not pursue trying to get the money back. You're talking about the $200,000 they put down.
Well, I was more referring to something beside that.
They have not offered anything else, just an extension. Mr. Baker, can you speak to that issue?
Well, you're right, they've answered, offered no additional amounts. The $200,000 earnest money is now non-refundable, but if they do go through with the purchase for $4 million, it will be applied to the purchase price. If they don't, then the money is retained by the city.
I think I'd like to pursue maybe the EDG aspect for the city. I think it's
What'd you say?
I think I would rather leave it in our own liability. I guess let EDG see what they can do with it if they have some prospects that are looking. It's not tied up again for 60 days. I don't think I'm for that right now.
Jane, I haven't heard from you.
Does it totally void the agreement we have until we don't give an extension? Will they continue on at all?
Mr. Baker, you'll have to answer that question.
Well, the property would then be on the open market, and they, like any other entity, can make an offer to purchase the property.
Their original offer is...
It would be no longer in effect, right? Pardon me.
Mr. Baker, if they came back, say, the end of April, and they were ready to close on their original deal, and they took it to this board, would we then be obligated to use the $200,000 as a down payment and pay real estate commission?
No. No, once the period expires, that is on March 31st, and that deal is gone. There's no longer any involvement with that deal at all, including real estate commissions. Unless there's some question if within a month or 2 or 3 or I think the period that's commonly used is 6 months, it's sold to the same entity. There's a question about whether or not a realty commission may be owed. We'd have to look into that.
In light of what you all said and listening to Mr. Baker, I think it's our best bet to not give an extension. Let me send them an email today telling them they still have till the 31st at midnight to complete the deal. So I need a motion and a vote here, what you want to do.
I think we need to open it up to competition. Excuse me, the company certainly has an opportunity to keep negotiating, and if someone else comes along and completes a deal, so be it.
And now you keep in mind the $4 million purchase price would no longer be on the table. That would be gone as well.
After midnight of March the 31st.
Right.
I'll make the motion, Your Honor, that we deny this request for the extension until April, whatever the date is they've got to come to us.
31st. It's over on the 31st of March, midnight. Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
We have a motion that we deny the request for an extension, that the offer is good until March the 31st at midnight, and beyond that, this board, it's over. Any further discussion? All in favor? Let's roll call vote this. It's a very important vote.
Jane Oakley?
Yes.
Fran Schomel?
Yes.
Leonard Urban?
Yes.
Mike Bishop?
Yes.
Ron Coldiron?
Yes.
It's unanimous, then that's the way it's going to go, and we'll let the Economic Development Group know that's what we've done, and we will also send an email, Melissa, immediately to them, telling them that this board denied that. They certainly have a right to come back to the board or to do whatever they'd like to do. We have 2 resolutions, both receiving money, H and I, 2013-10, 2013-11. It's transfer in the riverboat to park land, and transfer in motor vehicle $1,500 to unemployment. I'd like to take those together if it's okay.
I move we approve the resolution 2013-10, 2013-11, transfer of funds.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We got that done. Okay. At I'll ask, where's our summer camp director? He was here a minute ago. Okay, I think he left. Mike, will you come to the podium? When the new nepotism law took effect last July, we were very concerned because when we started the summer camp program, we used family to operate it, and we've been worrying about it, trying to figure out how we would do it. It has worked so well. Last summer we served over 1,000 kids, and so we've been working on different ideas. I had the privilege of going to Richmond 2 weeks ago, and I was talking with the Richmond mayor, and she was telling me about some of the places where she had the same problem. So I called Charlie Pride at the State Board of Accounts. He's the head man up there. Told him our situation both at the park pool and at the summer camp. And he suggested that we put in the minutes that this is a program that is continuous year after year after year, the same as the pool. It's open for a period of months, year after year. The people we have had working in the pool the last 4 years, or at least 3 over there, and the people we've had doing summer camp have been there at least 4 years, and that this group make a motion that we feel that they are a continuation and not a rehire, and therefore fall under the exemption of being grandfather. He said that if we put that in our minutes, he would honor it, and when we're audited, that wouldn't be held against us. So that's what I'm asking you to do, and Mike can tell you about the programs, and as those programs fade out and there's no longer a nepotism problem, we will never go in that direction again. But to break up the program now and to start doing it different, I think would be harmful to our program. Do you agree, Mike?
Yes, I think 3 of those employees...
Put the mic up so we can hear you. We got a furnace.
I think 3 of those employees was employed by CEC at the time, and they transferred over from the CEC to the parks, and I just hate to see those people leave just because of, you know, something that was set up, I think, mainly for full-time people, not summer help.
Does everybody understand where we're going? Anybody out there in the audience that needs further understanding? Board, or are you on board with what we're trying to do?
Yes, I thank you. I know it's been a very successful program. I thank you for the effort of trying to work it out to the benefit of the city and the kids.
Are we talking about, Your Honor, just for my clarification, the summer program in the park for the kids that we set up 2 years ago?
The director of the program has his mother-in-law that kind of is the, might say, superintendent of the program, and it works very well. We would have to go out and reinvent the wheel. And Charlie agreed with us that, you know, it's a summer program that is continuous. It's not something that we're hiring new people. So he would allow us to be grandfathered under that condition. Mr. Baker, you go along with that? You're our legal...
Right, now, this exception is true even though the employees will be under the direct supervision. Some of them will be of a relative. That's the reason for the nepotism statute in the first place, to eliminate employees being under the direct supervision of a relative. And Mr. Pride said this, in his estimation, is an exception to that requirement because of the nature of the programs, and that they may be under the direct supervision of a relative, even though the nepotism statute says that's not the case for all other jobs in general.
We're reminded that we're not making an exception to a state law. We're just putting in our minutes that we have received permission from the State Board of Accounts to look at it in this manner, and that we're putting it in our minutes so when we're audited that we have this to refer to.
Yeah, I think his point was this is an ongoing year-to-year-to-year situation, as opposed to 1 year it may be in effect and may not be in effect again for several years, and then perhaps in effect later. It's an ongoing yearly matter, and that's why he saw a distinction and agreed to allow it through the State Board of Accounts, which is one of the entities we have to answer to.
If somebody would like to put that in the form of a motion, I'd like to get that in the minutes today. I guess I could do it.
I'll make the motion, but I'm not sure I understand.
Well, I think I've been working with it. I'll make the motion that we put into our minutes that we are making an exception to the nepotism law as per permission from Charlie Pride from the State Board of Accounts that allows us to run 2 programs that we have run very successfully over the last 4 years using the same help as we have each year. And that in this in no way, you're trying to write it, I know. This, well, it's got to be specific. This in no way tries to get away from the nepotism law, and that we will follow it very strictly in the future on hiring. Is that pretty good, John?
And I think you need to add, even though these employees may be, have an in-line direct supervision by a relative.
Add that to what I said. Gotcha.
Second, please.
I need a second. You got a second? Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Well, now we're back to department. We have a job description that's in your packet that we made up for the ordinance enforcer for the summer. Last year, we did a part-time ordinance enforcer. We found out that it worked pretty good, but there were some things lacking in it because we didn't have a true job description. So I asked the chief to come up with a job description, and I'm ready for you to comment on that.
I have one word change.
Communities.
Item number 7, I think communicate should be communities, I think. That word. Item number 7, word change to make it more understandable. It should say communities, not communicates.
The one that says receive or respond to property complaints?
Yes, or affect the community's health and safety.
As attractive nuisances? Or affect communicates health, safety, and may require action by the public.
Or affects the community's health and safety.
Instead of communicates, it should be communities.
Are you saying it's misspelled?
It's a wrong word.
Change the word.
It's a wrong word.
I need to get a hearing aid.
It's a wrong word.
It's a wrong word?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
We'll get
changes
that corrected.
Okay, changes the meaning, okay.
So read it in its present form then. Jane, read it.
Item number 7, receives and responds to other property complaints that qualify as attractive nuisances or affect the community's health and safety, which may require action by the Board of Public Works and Safety.
Are there any other additions or corrections in this?
Well, number 13, I think the city council should be also put in there along with the chief of police, mayor, and the Board of Works. I think city council.
I think I don't think we can do that. The city council does not have the right to tell employees what to do.
But they can make a request,
They can-
receiving a complaint.
They can request, right. You want to add in there,
City council.
let's see, performs other duties as requested by chief of police, mayor.
That'd be all right to add
then.
then.
And maybe put at the end, or at the request of a city council person. John, would that be okay?
Yes.
Is that after the Board of Works?
Yes.
Or at the request of city council, I put in after Board of Works.
I think, Mayor, you could add after chief of police, mayor, and insert city council and/or the Board of Public Works and Safety.
John, I didn't, what was that last line?
Yeah, I'll read it. Performs other duties as requested by the chief of police, mayor, city council and/or the Board of Public Works and Safety, and as defined by city ordinances and state statute.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other changes in this job description?
Does this person report to you, Chief?
Yes, he does. He works directly for me.
He's a part-time policeman.
This job description originally was a city engineer's position. The ordinance enforcer was under the city engineer. We don't have a city engineer anymore, and this was written back in 1997. So what I did is I just basically, there's only like a couple areas I had to cross out and that didn't pertain to a city engineer, being him answering to a city engineer, him or her, whoever it may be. And since we are ordinance enforcers or law enforcement, and which takes in city ordinances also, that's why we put it underneath there, because we've taken all that into our office and the chief's office on properties, whether it's abandoned properties or bad properties, tall grass, nuisance properties with a lot of junk around, something like that.
I would like, under work conditions, you might want to think about adding at the end of buildings and other duties as arrived by supervisor or supervision.
What number are you on?
On the second page, work conditions and who he's going to report to. Works primary and office environment, but must also be able to perform field inspections, drive a car, and access private property and buildings and other duties as arrived by supervision. That gives you the option to assign him to whatever you want him to do.
Okay.
What, after buildings, you wanted to insert?
As other duties as arrived by supervisor. That covers it. Dave can assign him to whatever he wants him to do. If his job runs out here, which it never will, but you never know.
Okay. With those corrections then, are you ready to pass this?
I'll make a motion, Your Honor, that we accept the city ordinance that's been presented in front of us.
It's not a city ordinance, it's a job description.
Job description, I'm sorry, job description for this position for the city ordinance enforcer.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor to accept the job description for the city ordinance enforcer. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, while the chief is up there, he's requesting that we purchase a electronic fingerprinting device.
Mayor, if I could, should this be a good time to go ahead and appoint somebody to that position of ordinance enforcer, or you want to wait?
I don't think we're going to do that at this meeting.
Okay.
I have talked with, I can bring this up, we can talk about it, maybe they want to do it. I talked with Mr. O'Neill, who did this for us last year. He's a retired policeman. He knows the laws, the rules, the regulation. I had him take a copy of the thing home with him last week. He called me, he said he agrees with it, he can work under this, and he would like to have the job. Is that something you want to decide today? It's in the budget. We budgeted for our ordinance enforcer. Like I say, I thought we should offer it to him first. That's just my thought, because he did do it for us last year. And we did tighten the job up, so I wanted to go over with it, be sure he understood what he was getting into. It pays $10 an hour? $12 an hour?
Yeah, $12 an hour.
It's 20 hours a week.
20 hours a week.
That's what we got budgeted.
I'd like to correct something too. I know a few weeks ago when we discussed this, I got a lot of phone calls. I mean, I got about half a dozen phone calls of people who are interested in that position. And really, I don't know if there was a misunderstanding or communication with the press or what, but we wasn't really advertising for someone for that job at the time. We were still reviewing it, and O'Neill having some medical problems in last year and everything else, and that's all been taken care of now and everything else. It made it look like we were advertising for someone to come in and apply for this job, and that really, we hadn't really got to that point yet, because we haven't really determined what we were going to do or who was going to take that over. Mr. O'Neill done it last year. He also did it back when he was on the police department many years ago, and he found it very overwhelming, such as I have, and we're going to do some things a little different this time around, and I felt like, he was pretty dedicated to the job, and I felt like talking with the mayor, that he deserves another chance at trying it. And since I don't really have to really get in there and train him, so to speak, on what's going on, he's pretty well got a overall knowledge of what the job entails. So that's why we discussed it, and so we can bring it up at another meeting or whatever. That's fine.
We can go ahead and get it settled today if the board's wanting to do that. I just didn't have it on the agenda. I'm recommending that we go ahead and hire him for another season.
I have no problem with that at all.
You need a motion on that? I'll second.
Yeah, we need to have a motion.
Mike, you making the motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we go ahead and hire Mr. Dick O'Neill to take this job again this summer.
I'll second.
Simply for the fact that he's had it, and he's experienced it, and it saved us money from training people.
He does, and we invested in some uniforms for him last year and everything, and I'd like to try him out another year and see how it goes, and if it isn't working, then maybe next year we'll look at somebody else. But at that time, we need to advertise for that position being open, if that indeed is what we do.
He had some health issues at the end of the summer. He's got those all taken care of. He's lost a lot of weight, and he's healthier than he's been in a long time. I think he's very capable, and he's willing, and he wants something to do. We got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? No, sir. Okay, we have a roll call vote.
Jane Oakley?
Yes.
Fran Chomel?
Yes.
Leonard Urban?
Yes.
Mike Bishop?
Yes.
Ron Coldiron?
Yes.
Okay, you have approved that. We got two things done at one time there. Now I'll talk about your electronic fingerprinting machine.
Okay, we just found out that after May 15th of this year, the state of Indiana will not be taking our fingerprint cards any longer. They're requiring that all departments submit their fingerprint cards electronically over a designated line going to the state. It kind of got us off guard there, where we had to really do some maneuvering around. There's only one company that sells this machine at this time, and so in your package you'll see a letter here explaining what took place, and also there should be a form there, a letter there from the Indiana State Police Superintendent stating the reasons and all the details on doing this. It's easier to communicate with FBI and ties in with electronically with everyone. But this has to be in place by May 15th. The thing is, there's not very many, all departments aren't doing this, and it's a situation where we can put a charge if we fingerprint people for other departments. So if someone gets, they live in a county and they get their permit from the county sheriff's department, and they don't have the means to do that, they can come over to us and we can charge them a fee for doing that. So it's kind of a money maker for us in a way to help pay for that piece of equipment. I think the quote on that machine, I don't know if I got it with me or not.
Did you put it in our packets, Melissa?
I think it was around 14.
It's 13,000 something. I saw it somewhere.
It was 13,000, around 14,000, right under 14,000, I believe is what it was. I don't have the quotes in front of me. But it's not a situation where we can go out and get bids on this thing, because right now I think there's only one company making it.
Okay, do you have money in your budget to pay for that machine?
No.
Okay, what's our timetable by, what's the?
May 15th.
May 15th.
How long does it take to get the machine?
You know how long?
I saw that somewhere.
We don't know, but we sure we would have it by the 15th.
I think we're gonna have to do this because we're too big a department to try to borrow a machine or send someplace else for fingerprinting.
He's gonna have to.
We're also working, I think we're also working with 911 in regards to the line. So I think we can get on their direct line to the state. We're researching that now, where they have their NCIC and IDAX tied into that line. I think our fingerprints can go on that also.
What we're gonna
Would we
need
have to
is,
share the cost on that line with them, Dave?
I don't believe so, no.
is the sheriff's department gonna buy their own machine?
Pardon?
Is the sheriff's department gonna buy their own machine?
No, sheriff's, I think we'll end up doing the sheriff's departments.
And we're gonna charge so much a print.
We'll charge the individuals, like, you know, for instance, like if another town or whatever has, and it's just not works with pistol permits and stuff like this. I believe it'll work with other type of electronic fingerprints. Also, a lot of people are getting permits from other states. There's states like in Florida and I think it's Idaho, places like this, and they're like non-resident pistol permits, which lets you carry in other states besides that state they're in. They take in like 10 or 15 states, and what they'll do, they have to fill these out, then they have to get fingerprinted for that state. Well, it'll act the same way, and we can put a charge on that also.
All right, what we'd have to do is we'd have to pass this today that we want to purchase this, then go to city council and ask for the money, which we can do. But it looks like we got to do it. I don't see.
We don't
any
have a
way around
choice,
it.
it's mandated in the state.
I need a motion that we ask the council and we okay the purchase of it if we're going to get it to them by May 28th.
I move that we approve the purchase pending the money from city council. I would like them to have the exact figures at the first possible meeting.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
I saw that figure somewhere.
Troy, Fire Chief.
Thank you, Board.
It's 13.6. 13.9.
Troy is coming before you today because, as you know, they forced us to go to the narrowband radios, and we have 7 radios that are not operating like they should because they're not on the right band. We knew this was a problem. I think we already purchased them for the police. I don't know about first aid.
We've done theirs.
We've done the first aid, so this finishes it up. Troy, go ahead and plead your case.
We waited because Richmond was trying out these radios to see how they work for Richmond, because we have a David Clark headsets that was awarded on each of our grants, and we wanted Richmond to pay to have them hooked up and see how they worked, and they're working good for them. It's a digital analog radio that's going to be able to be narrow banded, I think, down to, what is it, 6? 6 down to phase 2 if they force us to go to that in the future, so it'll work for us. We've had good luck with Kenwood radios, and that's what we'd like to go to and stay with.
The price per unit is $575.
Yeah, we figured on the
He's got 3
quote,
quotes here.
on the quote, you'll see some options there that has to do with interference cables and interference accessories and speaker kits. Some of those may be used, some of them may not, but we're looking that we're going to come in below what the total quote is.
And what are you asking for? How much money?
$6,302.40.
Is it in your budget?
No, we're going to ask for it tonight, if you approve it, so we can ask for it.
Okay, this would take additional appropriations, so if we pass this today, then we'd have to ask the city council, just like we did for the police department, for the electronic fingerprinter. And both of those would take about at least 2 meetings, because we have to get them permission to advertise for a public hearing, have a public hearing, and then, so it'll be about a month before we get the money anyway.
Yeah.
So I need a motion if this is what you want to do, and I don't see again where we have any choice.
Does this include installation cost too, Troy?
Yes, and we quoted high because we'd rather turn the money back.
Okay, so that is installation.
Do Do you have to buy all those accessories with the
No,
radio?
some of the trucks will not have interference when we go with them. It depends on the equipment that the truck has on it. Alternators and stuff like that can cause interference as long as the, and so can the lights.
And that cost isn't figured in as $6,300? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a maximum quote, just to make sure.
There's 7 radios involved, right?
Yes.
And somehow I come up with $4,974 for the one bid and $6,072 for the other.
Yeah, it was the labor.
Okay, that was, okay, the
Yeah.
$300 or so for labor, okay.
Like I said, we let Richmond pay for a lot of the figuring out how to install the headsets incorporated into these radios. And they're working fine in Richmond.
That was
Also,
6304?
Simpkins takes care of, takes care of our radios and helps me also.
I need a decision, board.
I'll make a motion that we send this request to council for approval to purchase new radios for the fire department.
I'll second.
So you're saying we agree to purchase them, we just want them to fund them, right? That's what you're saying? At $6,300.
I'm sorry, it's $6,342.
Okay, and name the company you want to buy them from.
Well, you're getting real technical there.
I'm sorry.
You want
Yeah,
Tech
Tech
Electric?
Electronics.
Tech
Okay.
Electronics, yeah.
Read the
Sorry.
motion back to us, clerk treasurer.
Motion to approve a purchase of 7 radios from Tech Electronics for the fire department pending council approval of funding.
Exactly what I said.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Thank you.
Jane Oakley?
Yes.
Fran Schomel?
Yes.
Leonard Urban?
Yes.
Mike Bishop?
Yes.
Ron Coldiron?
Yes.
So many of these things that you just mandated, you gotta do, you haven't got any choice. You got anything else, Troy?
No, I think it's great to be standing in this building though.
Yeah, it
A lot
is.
of history here.
We're going to take time, we're going to have some punch and cookies back here in a few minutes if Bill doesn't talk too long, and enjoy it a little bit.
Poor Bill gets a hammer
Utility
every
department.
time. Bill gets a hammer every time.
Utility department, that's you, Bill.
Is that all you got, Bill?
Good afternoon.
Get that mic down where you can talk into it, Mike.
Good afternoon.
That's good.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Bill.
At the last meeting, I informed the board that GE Energy, formerly Roots Blower, would like to talk to you about putting a blower down at the wastewater plant. I've arranged for them to be here today, so if the board would allow, I'll have them come up and do a quick presentation for you. So we've got Matt Vale and Jeff Faber from GE.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you for coming. We are very proud that GE is here, and we've worked with you. We've been over there. We've changed some traffic patterns over there for you, and we appreciate all that you've done for the city, and especially in hiring, 40, 50 people that you've hired. We appreciate it extra from what we had.
Yeah, we appreciate being part of this community, and I know I probably can't speak on the public relations side of it much, more the technical side, but yeah, it's been a joy being a part of the Connersville community as well, so thank you. The first thing that I'd like to go through, I guess I can just show you the packet. The second one that you've been handed is kind of the proposal. I won't go through that, I think, and I'm going to hit on some of that a little bit as we walk through these 3 pages inside the first one. But as Bill said, he had invited us here to talk about the technology a little bit, give you guys a heads up as to what we were seeing if we couldn't work out with the city. It's kind of being a community partner, if you will. We want to see this as being a win for the city and a win for GE as well. And so we'll just kind of step through it. So the existing blowers that we've got at Connersville, they are all Roots type technology, and you can see the progression through the years, if you will. I believe it was back in the 1980s whenever they installed the 1986. They installed the IGCV out there, and then we've also got some RCS machines that are currently running that are the PD blowers. And what GE was thinking is coming in, and as technology has progressed over the years, you're increasing in efficiency, with the machines, which means at the end of the day that the city is spending less money on power to do the same amount of work with that blower itself. So the new technology that's sort of out there, and Bill hit on this last time, it's a very much plug-and-play application. If you look at the picture on the page, it looks very much so like an appliance, not so much like the industrial equipment you might be used to looking at, but all that technology is housed inside that enclosure. Some of the benefits of this technology are this machine is completely oil-free. So they're in a lot of cities, a big green initiative and green push is one of the benefits of this. This machine actually runs on what is called an airfoil bearing. So it's running at, don't want to get into the technical details, but it's running at speeds such that it's actually able to levitate on a film of air. And there is no liquid whatsoever inside this machine, which also adds to the ease of maintenance aspect of it. And then noise. Noise is a larger concern with a lot of this equipment. With this one in particular, we're going to be seeing about 75 to 80 dBA, and just to give you some relative perspective on that, it's about what you'd hear 10 feet away from a vacuum cleaner. So I don't know if anybody's had the chance to visit the blower room at the plant or not, but it is quite loud. So okay. This machine, I can get into this whenever I'm talking about the power and some of the assumptions that we made. But this machine is variable speed drive, so it is different from the technology that's in there right now, where it's a constant speed. You're always putting out the same amount of air. Whereas this system, as your air demand changes, so as maybe the influent into the facility decreases or the influent increases, you can adjust the speed of this machine to better adapt to what you're seeing for your inlet conditions inside the plant. Hence, and all that's driving back to saving money and electricity that you're spending at the wastewater plant. If we flip over to the second page, I'll kind of run through some of the numbers and how we derived to what we think the possible or the potential yearly savings is from a power standpoint with this type of equipment. I received these numbers from Bill, but right now he said for 2012 they were averaging about 7 cents a kilowatt hour on their usage. The calculations that we took, Jeff Faber and I made a visit to the facility based upon the site conditions. We took some power readings on the existing equipment that's running at that condition, and then compared that to what we are going to be able to achieve with the newer design of equipment. And stepping through those calculations. So we came up at the end of the day that for that point we were running about 62.5 kilowatts is what it was taking us to deliver that air to the system. And looking at the power savings calculation at the bottom, for the same, the newer equipment, we're going to be looking at a power number of about 48.5. So taking the difference in kW between those, multiplying it by the 7 cents per kW hour, and then the operational hours with this being running 24/7 throughout the year, you're getting to a number of about $8,500 per year that would be saved on power cost. So there can be additional savings there. One thing we did not take into account is that influent flow, as I said before, can change, and as that goes down, with this technology you can now reduce the speed of that machine and reducing the air that you're putting out, which is also reducing the electricity that's going into the machine as well. On the third page, walking some highlights on the proposal, Jeff and I made another trip to the facility Friday of last week, just seeing what our thoughts were on how we could potentially tie this into the existing plant with as low a cost possible as whenever we look at the installation of this machine. And there are a couple different options that we've had, or that we do have. One of them would be tying it into the blower number 3, into the line blower number 3, or we could also replace blower number 4 that is not currently operational out there. And it would be a removal of that equipment and then sticking this equipment in its place. So there are going to be some charges, or some costs that are not inside that $36,000 that's listed. That would be for valving and so forth, that wouldn't necessarily be part of our scope of supply, but we could very much so work with you on that, on getting that, making that transition. So for the city, as far as benefits, a cost reduction, what we're anticipating somewhere around $7,500 to $8,500 annually on the power cost, and then of course kind of fostering that community relationship between GE and Connersville as well. Obviously, we've got individuals that are working closely with Bill and the utility. So benefit to the city is we're right in your back pocket. I mean, we're right there. And for us, what GE is looking for is that it's an installation close to our facility. So whenever we've got customers coming in, we would like to get something worked out to where, you know, we give you a heads up of a week. We can come down to the plant, visit it, show our potential clients that this is the unit, we've got it running, you can see it operational. So there is the potential win for us there, having that installation 2 miles down the road. So I don't know, Bill, if you had anything else to add to that, anything else you wanted me to go into? I don't believe that. Okay, yeah, by all means. I think what we've come in with this dollar figure of $36,000, from a commercial standpoint on it, we would like to recover that money, but we're flexible on how it is recovered. I guess there's some different things that we've spoken with Bill about, is maybe you're paying on the energy savings or whatever it may be for GE to recoup that.
Did you have a plan of how you wanted us to pay for it? Did you?
Well, I was leaving that up for negotiation, I guess. We would, the dollar amount, we're looking at recouping that inside 3 years. But I know Bill said it wasn't in his budget as far as his replacement this year. However that would need to be approved through the city. There's a couple things that, like I said, we can be flexible with that.
If we were to break that down into a 3-year period, would you be willing to go with that?
I would have to get, I don't have the approval to say yes or no. But that is something I can take back for consideration, and that is something we had discussed about before, with it being 3 years sort of a payment. Maybe it's month on month, and it's more of an operational cost that's rolled into it.
What I'd like to do is, I've been in on this, so I kind of know what we're doing here. This is an economic development issue, and it's a cost savings to the city of Connersville, and it puts new equipment down there, which we need desperately. I would like to say, this board to say yes to you, and let us work out a deal, and then come back to this board and say, this is what we come up with, because I think this is something we need to do together.
Yeah.
It's not only good for you to be able to have your blower down at it's good for us, because it builds a relationship with GE, and we absolutely need that relationship. GE is a huge company. We're not dealing with the blower company of Connersville, which we have one of the founders. I don't know if you know that, but Bob's dad is one of the founders of the Stamp Company, and Bob is with us today. His grandfather founded Stance. That's pretty good, isn't it? Bob, would you stand up, take a bow? Yeah. Not many towns can say that when they got a company that's a world headquarters for Stance, that we have a grandson of the founder. But I think we need to do this. What I'd like to do today is make a motion that we pursue this and let Bill work out some of the details with us, and then we'll come back in a couple of weeks here and we'll get this done. unless you guys have different opinions. Ron, I want to hear your opinion.
I think the blower fits nice in with some other things that's going on down there. We're going variable frequency drives on those other pumps. I like the efficiency rating. It looks like we're going to be, just rough figuring, we're going to be saving maybe $600 to $700 a month energy cost. I mean, that's rough, but that sounds about right. So if we could get that payment down around the energy cost, I think it'd be a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that was, and we can work this out later. I think what we're looking for today was just kind of that approval to proceed forward. And yeah, ideally, that energy savings would have offset what the payment cost of, take it over 36 months, which would be $1,000 a year or a month. But there is that difference there.
I was looking about 4.5 years. I was kind of giving it the benefit of the doubt. Yeah.
Mike?
I've been through this show and tell before with my past employer, and it's a very good way for you to promote your product, and it's a very good way for the citizens to see what we're purchasing and the economics of it. My question to you would be, since Bill and I work together, would there be any possible way you could entertain part of the cost for the installation of it?
Well, we're actually looking into that possibility. Right now, their blower, I don't want to get into too many of the specifics.
I used to work with blower, by the way.
Okay. But there's the potential for maybe some cost to be recaptured with blower number 4, which is currently not being used, that I think can help offset the cost of installation. So that's where that valving and that installation cost may not be experienced, and it would just be the $36,000. So, but we went down there on Friday, and it was kind of just start talking about it at that point in time.
If another city wanted to buy this, would it be $36,000?
No, it would not.
What would it be, roughly?
For this machine, we would probably ask to see somewhere around $47,000 to $50,000 for this machine.
That's what I'm telling you, folks. We're getting a good deal here. Fran, do you have any comments?
Talked about savings in the fuel per year, or in the cost savings per year, but what are we spending now, Bill?
Well,
can you give us an idea?
Those projected cost savings that you see on that chart in front of you are based on the old blower that we've got online right now, which was, it's been there since 1956. So it's not a very efficient motor and blower combination to begin with. Right now, we're spending roughly $10,000 a month on electrical costs at the wastewater plant. And honestly, I haven't broken out that particular piece of equipment. And I'm not sure if Matt has or not. I believe they have, based on the amount of electricity that uses.
Yes.
I think it came to around 40,000.
Yeah, if you actually open up the proposal and look at page, I believe what's the last page of the proposal? What I've done is, based upon the power numbers that we came away with at that one particular instance in time that we were visiting the facility, we were estimating our annual cost of operation for the existing PD in column 1 was going to be a little over $38,000. With the newer proposed blower, we're saying we can get that down to $29,700, which was the $8,500 that you've seen in the savings. Now, what we're also saying is, with this variable speed, and this is in the 3rd column, is that there is that potential, and we'd have to work with Bill a little bit more on this, but because the speed can fluctuate or can change with this machine, that we could maybe even drop it down farther if we realized that our air demand wasn't as high as what it is right now, or what we're producing right now.
I see, thank you.
Bill, with the change in the motors down there, plus the change in the blower, you're going to see quite a cost savings, are you not?
We hope to, yes.
What were our estimates on the motors? I remember us talking about it, but I don't remember the savings.
I'm thinking that we're looking at upwards of $40,000 a year just on those pump motors. by changing them out to VFDs.
Oh, we appreciate that. I still would like to have a motion that we pursue this. I think it's an economic development issue. It's a deal where they're giving us one heck of a deal on a piece of equipment that we desperately need to start putting in place. And it's a way of upgrading our plant. We'll have new motors and a new blower. I think it's the thing we ought to do. It's looking forward to the future. Jane, I haven't heard from you yet today.
Well, anytime we can get a piece of equipment worth this much of a upfront cost savings, plus be able to work out some financing that short a term in 3 years, it's a good deal. It's a very good deal. I would like to put it in form of a motion that we go ahead with the purchase of, with the proposal set before us by GE this afternoon for that piece of equipment.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. This means that we will pursue this, we'll work together if it passes, and we'll make this work, because if you put the savings of those motors and that blower all together, it's a no-brainer. Plus, it gives our company in our town a place to take their customers to look at it. Now, we're not trading the old blower in, right? We get to keep it. Or do you want it back?
Well, I think that's what he's talking about, some offset on the installation charges. We have got a blower that was installed down there when our demand was a whole lot more than it is right now. Has very little hours on it. And I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, is possibly trading that unit in to offset some of the installation costs. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I need to speak more with some individuals from GE, but there is the potential there. Like I said, we need to investigate this a little bit farther, but the RAS 12, it's a 1214 RAS machine that's out there that was currently was engine driven off of the methane gas that has been switched to a motor drive, and I think during that changeover the VFD blew up.
Well, yeah,
okay. Yeah, but it's currently out of commission, and like Bill said, has relatively few runtime hours on it. I need to get with our service department to find out if that would be something that maybe we would look at repurchasing that off, and then offset some of the cost of the installation.
Okay, so it's not a trade-in deal?
Well, it wouldn't be a complete trade-in. No, the value isn't would be the same.
Okay, we'll negotiate that when we get there. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to pursue this purchase of this blower, actually at their cost. It's an energy savings and a cost savings to put it in, rather than down the road you have to put it in and you have to pay the big price. We'll have a roll call vote.
Jane Oakley?
Yes.
Fran Schomel?
Yes.
Leonard Urban?
Yes.
Mike Bishop?
Yes.
Ron Coldiron?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to work together all the way to the end.
Thank you.
Would you like to introduce this young man over here too? Come up to the podium and just say a few words. I'd like for you to.
I'm sorry.
Come on up to the podium and introduce yourself. You're from GE too, and I want you to be recognized.
I apologize. Matt did very well. My name's Jeff Faber. Just a little bit of brief history. I've been with Roots for 30 years. Been working with Bill for many years on various other different projects. Working with Matt, just trying to help pull this together for the city and in the community.
Now you go back to your company and tell them we appreciate the presentation and we intend to work together. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are you done, Bill? Bill, are you done?
I can be done if you want me to, but I don't think you really want me to.
He's got a couple items.
I know. Go ahead, Bill.
At our last meeting, we talked about an agreement in place with the union to avoid taking a grievance to arbitration. I've included in your packet that suggested settlement for that grievance. And along with that, one thing that we will have to do to satisfy this is do some language changes in the existing agreement. And I've included a copy of that as well. So I'm prepared to go ahead and sign that grievance settlement, and we'll need to take this changes to the agreement to council for approval.
I have it here. It's out of place.
And if you want me to go over what changes was made on that section.
Okay, I understand where we're going because we negotiated this. Does the board understand where we're going with this? We discussed it last time. This is a good solution to this problem for all of us concerned. I thought we'd got this settled last time we agreed to it. Evidently, we didn't. Basically, what we're doing is we created a position at the water plant as a second in command up there, and we're going to pay 50 cents, am I right? More on the hour. We've created a position down at your plant, and that will pay 22 cents more an hour. We're going to negotiate with, or the union has agreed to put in writing that these positions are created and that we're settling this grievance on that issue. Have I summarized it pretty good?
You've got it exactly right, yes.
Okay. That's what I thought we agreed to it at the last meeting, but to make it clear, I'll make a motion to what I just said.
Does this look agreeable with our council?
Yeah, you know, you're okay with it, aren't you, John?
Yes, sir.
I went over it with him before we discussed it. I should have told you.
A second motion, please.
Sir, second, okay. Any discussion? Jane, you got her down, you know what we're doing?
Yep.
Fran?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Fine. What we had done is, we needed a position filled at the water company at the plant. And we took a person that had the W3 designation and the training and put that person in there. But that person did not have the seniority that the other person at the utility or at the wastewater had. So in order to be fair, the union said, let's create that position up there, but expand his position down there, so we're fair to everybody. It's a good outcome for the utility, because those are two excellent employees, and we wanted to be sure that we were fair to both of them. And I think you agree they're excellent employees, and
Oh, yes.
everybody will be happy now, we think.
I hope so.
Okay. Thank you so much for approving that. What else you got, Bill?
MS4 services. I told this board probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 board meetings ago, I was going to get some quotes on those services from different engineering firms, which I did. I sent a scope of services out to 4 other firms. 2 firms decided that they did not want to quote. 2 other firms did. So what I ended up getting was for these services, which you should have before you there, is Wessler's Engineering quoted a price not to exceed $10,000 for these MS4 services for the year 2013. Being Aloneness and Neff, their total fee for the same scope of work is $13,200. Strand Associates Incorporated, a not-to-exceed number of $25,000 for that scope of services. This is something that we've had Wessler's Engineering do for us for the last several years, so I recommend that we go ahead and approve that agreement with Wessler's Engineering.
Why didn't the other 2 companies want to bid?
One thought that it was kind of a conflict of interest. They understand that once you start these services with one engineering firm, they didn't want to step on another engineering firm's toes. The other one, just after he got to looking at the scope of services, they decided that they couldn't perform them. So, That's why those two didn't bid.
Okay, give me the scope of those services, a brief thumbnail sketch of what they'll be doing.
It should be attached to that, but we can go over them. There's several different things that they will do for us. One thing, they'll prepare the permit renewal documentation, which our permit is due for renewal at the end of this year. Of course, they'll do that with our input as well. They keep us on task as far as organizing and conducting stormwater planning team meetings. They also come and help train some of the people here at the utilities, plus throughout the rest of the entities that's involved, Parks Department, Street Department, Waste Transfer Station. They help us with that as well. And they also will help us do a site evaluation on all of these different facilities to make sure that everyone is in compliance with our MS4 rules. And also included in this, if we need any additional service, they'll provide 40 hours throughout the year. So that's the scope of services that I had advertised for, because it's what's needed for this MS4 program.
What was the cost of that last year, these services?
Last year, they had a not-to-exceed number of $15,000.
And what did it cost?
It ended up costing about $6,300. So they didn't use the entire $15,000. And that's been pretty typical for the last several years. I think there was one year where they used most of that $15,000, but that was when we had an audit and pretty exceptional year. The other years has been right around $6,000 to $7,000.
What's your pleasure, board?
This is anything to do with the 24th Street, or Grand Avenue, 24th Street?
No, this is an entirely different section of it. This is for our municipal separate storm sewer requirements from the state. There's a lot of stuff to do, and they keep us on track.
Well, we certainly have to have an engineering firm on board, right? I mean, we have to have them there to keep documentation and our permits and so on and everything rolling, right? So I would make a motion to accept the quote from Westler Engineering for the MS4 services as stipulated, not to exceed $10,000. This is for the year 2013, is that correct, Bill?
Yes.
I'll second that. Excuse me.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Go ahead, Bill.
Next thing we have is, at the last meeting, the mayor brought up looking at our policy on delinquent reconnects and disconnects and such. Ron and Mike and myself, along with our office manager, sat down and we came up with some recommendations and some information for the board. And I don't know if Ronnie or Mike wants to present it, or if they want me to, or what's your pleasure?
Doesn't matter.
Go ahead and present it.
Okay. Basically, the current reconnect charge that we have, it was established in 2002, and it was put at $20. And that's for us to roll the truck out to disconnect a delinquent account, and it also includes reconnecting that account once they make their bill current. What we're recommending is to increase that fee to $55. One thing that we found out was if we wanted to do a escalating charge on an individual for being delinquent, that's unlawful. We really can't do that. We need to make sure that we're treating all of our customers the same. So we recommend just a straight across the board increase. And we need to put some language in ordinance form or policy form, whatever would be the appropriate way to do it, that on delinquent days, if someone wants their service restored on the same day, we need to set a cutoff period on it. So we're saying if they come in before 2 o'clock on any given day or on delinquent day, we can assure that we'll get their water turned back on during business hours for that same day. If they come in after 2 o'clock to pay that account, most likely it's going to get scheduled for the next day. And also, to carry that a little further, if they insist after 2 o'clock that they want their water service turned on that day, most likely it's going to be after hours, and there'll be an additional $55 service fee for after-hour charges.
So it'd be 110 total.
Yes, if they want it turned on after regular working hours, it'll end up costing them an extra $110. So that's what we've come up with, and
I think there should be some sort of exclusion for hardship. What I'm after is the people that constantly do this. Every month, let their water get shut off. Every month, we got to go shut it off, and 2 hours later, they find the money, we got to go pay it again, and then got to go send 2 guys out there to turn the water on, and it's the same over and over and over. But I do think if there's somebody that in a hardship can't pay their bill, and I don't know how to do that, Bill. I really don't. But I think we have to have some. It's like with leaks. You know, we have a policy on leaks. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't, because it's at no fault. I've seen little widow ladies living together and the water leaking under the porch, and nobody knows it and she doesn't know it, come up with a big bill, and then I forget what our policy is, but I saw one lady had a $700 bill. Is there any way at all that if we determine there's a hardship there, that we can do something?
right now, the only thing that we have in place to even address that is if a customer does have a high water bill due to a leak, and that leak doesn't go down the sewer system, the only thing that we have in place to help them out is to give them a break on the sewage portion of their utility bill. And I agree with what you're saying. I mean, there's some hardship cases out there that we need to figure out a way to do something with. But at this point in time, I don't really know how to approach that.
This takes an ordinance change. The city ordinance will have to be changed too.
Mr. Mayor, may I say something here?
Yeah.
I agree there's hardship cases that certainly need to be identified, but we're talking about delinquent things here. If it's a hardship case, they probably could, prior to the delinquent notice, they need to be notifying some help services somewhere that there might be a problem. We're talking about a 15-day delinquent notice here, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're talking about two different problems. A hardship case forcing a delinquent notice here. And I think we need to keep it in perspective. We're talking about people that maybe well, they're just not paying their bills, rather than we can address hardship cases maybe in a different area, but we're talking about bills that haven't been paid, that are delinquent, that need to be cut off. So can I?
Yeah, I understand that, Ronnie, but I want to tell you about a couple instances. I've had a little person call me, a lady, and there was just no way. She's living on $800 a month Social Security, and no way she could pay her bill. But if she could pay payments on the delinquent fee in an exception, she could get her water back on. This is so hard and fast that you either pay the 55 or you have no water. And I understand that, because we're trying to keep people that abuse it all the time. But we do have a small percentage of people that get themselves, they got to make up their mind whether to buy food, medicine, or water. And I don't want those people to be hurt by this. And I don't know how you put it in here, but what I'd like to do, I'd like to give this to somebody smarter than me and try to figure out if we couldn't do it. Since we got to change the ordinance anyway, let's change the ordinance so it corrects both issues. both on the leaks and the shutting off of the water.
The hardship case then should be noted prior to the delinquent time period. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's a hardship case when the bill's due. It just doesn't become a hardship case 2 weeks after the bill's due.
Well, I understand that, but if they knew there was something in place, and when you're delinquent and you're notified you're going to be shut off, if they could call the office and say, I can make arrangements to pay $6.50 a week on this, would that be okay? I'd like to give the girls at the office the leeway, or Bill, to okay it. Yes, we will accept that and keep your water on 1 more month. And then after that, we'd have to draw the line or something like that. But there needs to be a way out for people that are really hurt. Some of these people are having home visits for medical thing. They got to have water to wash the things they use. I mean, we've got in some hardship cases. I hear them. I've paid people's water bills since I've been mayor myself, just to keep the water on. I put it on my credit card, and I paid them, and Melissa will attest to that. And there are just certain instances when it's not fair for us to turn their water off when they're willing to try to do whatever they can do. And I'd just like to look at it before we put this in place.
I think if you're going to do that, you're going to have to take it by exception.
But the ordinance gives no exception here. It either is or isn't.
Well, that's what you're asking us to do, right?
Well, I'd like to put some exception in here that when it's approved by Bill, or when it's approved by the water committee over there or something like that, that we can make an exception and do it a different way.
You know, I have no problem in considering some kind of exception as long as it's done prior to the delinquent notice.
I agree.
Because we're talking about 2 different issues here. We're talking about a hardship notice, or we're talking about delinquent notices. And if we have a hardship clause in an ordinance, that's fine. But when it comes to delinquent, it's delinquent. They know 2 weeks prior whether it's going to be a hardship case or not. So they should already be pre-approved for a delinquent.
You know how to put that in the ordinance?
John does.
It should be 2 different ordinances. I mean, this is for
Yeah.
delinquent only.
Yeah.
If we're going to have an exception, that should be a totally different.
Totally different aspect.
You know how to do it?
It shouldn't connect with this at all.
You know how to do it?
No, but John does.
Oh, we can work on it.
It's just a matter of wording and how you want it, but
I understand the concept you're
Yeah.
talking about. Delinquencies are one thing.
You have a problem with that, Bill?
Made known
Well,
ahead of delinquency.
The only problem that I have with it is leaving it up to me to decide. I don't want to be charged with that. We need a firm policy as to how we're going to handle
I
it.
agree.
And we've already got an internal policy to work with people that lets us know that they're a hardship case, so to say. And we do have the flexibility to work with them. You know, we don't want to make it a continual habit to work with these people, but there are cases where if someone just cannot pay their water bill due to various reasons, as long as they let us know and it doesn't progress to the point that it's delinquent,
Yes.
we will allow them, you know, a week or so to get caught up, or we have a little flexibility there. But I would like to make sure that the board and everybody is on board with what we're doing here, and if maybe we just need to sit down with John and my office manager and go over what our protocol is now, and what we have in place may be sufficient to satisfy the board. I don't know.
Well, 2 of our board members have indicated John knows how to do it, so I'll go along with that. I'd like you to table this till John and Bill can figure it out.
I'll make that motion. That we table this till Mr. Baker and Mr. Ammerman can figure it out.
I have a second? I'll second it.
Okay.
I can second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Does this ad hoc committee still, are we involved in this also, or are we pretty much
You're a
finished?
Board of Works member, and I think you've got input anytime you want to.
So,
Was that a yes or no?
I don't know.
Yes. Yes.
We'll do it. We'll do it.
Yeah. Ronnie, I think if you were in my chair.
Yeah.
I understand.
And you hear it, and you see some of these pitiful cases that, you know, I'm not apt to take my credit card out, but I've had to.
Well, in
And I can't
respect
talk
to that,
Bill. I mean, when I call over there to Bill, and Bill says, well, it's delinquent, it's gotta be shut off.
Yeah.
Well,
But on the
Home
same note, I got the same call that you got about the woman that had 3 children and her water was shut off and she was crying on her shoulder to get it turned on because it was a weekend, and when I called her back, she was on vacation.
Well, there's hardship cases. I'm not being so hard against that. In respect to what you're saying, I mean, we've been in the service business for 40 years. I've seen some pretty tough cases. And yes, you do have to consider those. You really do. But I still think we're talking about 2 different problems here. So.
Okay, well, we're gonna look at it here.
We will.
What's next, Bill?
I have one more thing. Mr. Jeff Fields, he's the property manager for the Whitewater Trade Center. Of course, they're running it from California, and I know that the Economic Development Group is well aware of that property, and probably everyone on this board. He is looking for some way to reduce the stormwater fees on that facility. So I had a long discussion with him and told him what our policies were and what the ordinances in place were, and come to realize that that facility has never applied for user fee credit because of the stormwater detention facility that they have east of that property. So it's my intent to have him go through the process to apply, and essentially we can reduce his stormwater fees on that property about in half.
Where is the retention?
It's just to the north, it'd be the northeast part of that property. Everything on that property drains to that retention pond.
Where's the
I didn't
property,
know it was
Bill?
there.
Where's it?
It's the old Walmart complex.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry.
old Walmart complex. Back where the supermarket was, back behind that building, they've got a retention pond that's been there forever.
Did you know it was there?
Pardon me?
Did you know it was there?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was there.
Yeah.
Not that it matters.
They've got about a 36-inch line that drains that whole parking lot and everything right to that pond. And that's what it was designed for, but, you know, way back when we first implemented the stormwater utility and assessed fees on them, nobody complained about it, so we just never even thought about it until it was brought up recently. So anyway, that's the only way that I have in place that we can reduce their stormwater fees. Of course, they're trying to market that place and get a tenant in there, and we know how tough that is. So he may ask for more than that. I told him I would let the board know what my intentions were, and the board can think about it, but honestly, right now, we don't have anything else in place that we can legally give him any more of a credit on than that detention.
We need to follow the law, exactly what it is, or the ordinance, excuse me, which the ordinance is the law. We pay about $40,000 a year up here in our own park. And I think it's ridiculous. Maybe we ought to build some retention ponds and swim in them or something, I don't know. But I think it's ridiculous, but that's what we do, so, you know, that's part of it. And I've worked with him on taxes. He never mentioned the stormwater, but we've worked with him on taxes, and we've brought tenants down there, and I understand that one of those buildings is rented.
There's actually 8 little small businesses in that facility.
No, but I mean, one of the big, on either
No,
end.
they're both empty.
But one is supposed to be rented now.
Well, that's his hopes, but it's not a done deal yet. But he's just looking for, you know, a little relief on.
Yeah, and I understand
paying
that.
some of his fees. But that's what my intentions are, and we can legally do that with the way the rules are written today.
You bring it to us.
And with that, that's all I have.
That's all you have.
Thank you, Bill.
Public forum, anybody stay here long enough to last for a public forum? Old business, anybody got any old business? Miscellaneous business. I got a couple things I want to talk about. The 20th of April, we talked about it when Donna was up at the stand. We'll be in the Miller Building. We'll be served chicken by the KFC. You know it's good chicken. It's $8 a ticket. The proceeds will be going to this building to help pay for the refurbished building, and you can see what a beautiful building it is. If you look over here to the left, you'll see how the draperies will look when they're all up, and I think the sound will be much better once all the draperies are up. I want to give credit to our own mechanic department. They made the drapery hangers over here on the left. They're beautiful. Billy, you want to come forward? Where's some of your people, Bill? Come on up to the podium, Bill. We're going to make you give a speech. I don't know where all my park people went.
3 o'clock they go home.
Oh, they go home.
When you start the police meeting, 3 o'clock.
This is Bill Dunsel. Bill works in our maintenance department, and he and Mike Bottomley and myself and John Bascom engineer all this. We've spent not one nickel in engineering in this building, not one penny. Oh, Mike, there you are. I didn't even see you. Come on up, take a bow. Come on. We have worked to get the best price on every piece of equipment, every piece of material that went in here, and every person that worked in here. These windows were all made out of native poplar. They're all brand new, but they look just like the old windows that were in here. They've got a stain on them. It's supposed to keep the sunlight out and keep them from going bad on us. They should be good for 100 years. We hope someday, in the next little bit, we can put storm windows on them. Cold Iron Heating and Plumbing was lucky enough to get the bid to put all the furnaces in here. There's 5 furnaces. 3 are on that end, 2 are on this end. There's 5 air conditioning systems. So when we're not using it, we can just keep one system going to keep it cool or warm. Basically, everything in the big room is done. The kitchen's over there where the fire chief is standing. You're welcome to go in there. I ask that you don't walk in the bathrooms because we don't have the tile quite done. Ladies' bathroom is on the right and the men's is on the left, and got beautiful bathrooms. We have an office back there in the back corner, and then there's a storage room. Our IT man and Mr. Pawsey put all the sound equipment in. You can look over here, or you can control the lights. Mr. Pawsey, will you show them how you control the lights? If we were having a dance and we needed mood lighting, turn the center ones off. Turn the center ones off with the switches. There you go. That's mood lighting. You still don't have them all on. Billy, we've tried to teach him, but you know how it is. This is what you would probably see for a dance, and I've been in here in the night when it's dark. It's beautiful with the light around the walls reflecting on them, so you could have a dance. The hardwood floor is on top of yellow pine, which is on top of yellow pine trusses that are 12 inches in diameter. The old style lumber that wasn't planed. That floor is as solid as a rock, as is the ceiling, and it's just a great building.
Mayor, what's the seating capacity of this, do you know?
The fire chief says we can put 309, is that what you told me?
309?
Is that what you said, 309? No, that's what I thought you told me. It's 50 people bigger than the Miller dining room. So we can have 50 more people in here than we can have in the Miller dining room. That gives you an idea what we can have. There's been a lot of people that have worked here. Bicentennial, Mike Sparks, if you'll stand. You can take a bow. Mike and Reverend Orr, no, don't keep standing. Reverend Orr and Mike, and who else was on your crew that took all the old windows out and numbered the woodwork? And
There was a lot of people, Rick Lemon, Reverend Orr. There was winter a year ago, the coldest day of the winter, 11 degrees below when we were in here. And we had a lot of people from Bison.
what I'm trying to show you is everybody's put something into this. The park people have put tons of work into this. The vocational school, I call it, tell me what I'm supposed to call it.
Career Center.
Career Center have had crews here every morning and every afternoon. You see their work. They're very proud of what they've accomplished here. Just everybody has come in here and done things to make this happen. And I know it's not the Palladium at Carmel, but to me, it's the Palladium at Connersville. I think through the next 50 or 100 years, you're going to see a lot of people have a lot of good times. There's going to be a lot of programs in here. We've got it booked already for some wedding receptions and for some family reunions, and I think it's going to be a great place. We still got to sand the floor lightly and varnish it. We've got to do the bathrooms. Those doors back there were all broken. People had kicked them in. Jeff Church rebuilt the doors so they match. He's building us 2 doors for the restrooms, so all the doors back there match. He's also building a door for the kitchen. He's going to take the 2 front doors off and completely rebuild them so they're usable with panic hardware. That'll be done here in the next couple of weeks. We hope to go outside in April and start to do some landscaping, pour a new porch and a sidewalk, which again we'll do all with our own people. So for all these people, Mike is about, I think he's lost 15 pounds. Hasn't bothered Billy any because Billy just works till 3 and goes home. But Mike has been down here in the night, in the daytime, early in the morning. He and I worry about the money constantly. Just this morning we went over our finances, trying to stay within the budget. You have anything to say about this, Mike?
No, it's a project, long time coming. These next couple weeks should be exciting. I know I'm going to spring break, so Bill will probably get a lot more done since I'm not around bugging him. But next couple weeks, we should finish the restrooms, the kitchen, the cabinets are in. So, I mean, it's big changes every few days happening here. And we're excited to get this thing open and ready to go.
I drove Melissa nuts telling her to get on the internet and find me material for those drapes. Well, you don't have to agree to it. She found the material. How much a yard did we pay? You remember? I don't know, but we got it all for like $500, didn't we? And then we chiseled on poor Mr. Whipple up at Luckett's Upholstery, or what's it, not Luckett's, what's it called now?
Bennett's.
What?
Bennett's.
Bennett Upholstery. He did all the sewing, he's got all the drapes ready, and he did it all for $500. Now that, so he's to be commended. He wanted to do this. The Connersville Lions Club is going to pay for the cabinets and the tops, both in the kitchen and the restrooms, and the sinks and the faucets. Some of the other clubs have bought windows, and all these people paid $500 for the windows and $200 for these windows back here. This stage has dressing rooms on both sides, and there's a way to the basement so people can dress and take part in a play. The whole building has been rewired with the exception of the basement, and part of that has been done. And did I mention Cold Iron put the furnaces in?
3 times.
I thought that might be worth another $1 to me if I mentioned that.
Who was that again?
And I do appreciate getting this done, and I think it's going to be a marvelous thing for the park. My centennial, March 21st. Everybody mark that down and give it to Melissa by tomorrow at noon. Wednesday morning at the latest. We need a number of people that will be going to the State House, and we have to, they've changed the time on us, we have to be there at 9:30 a.m. Poor Mr. Baker will have to sleep in my car. 9:30 a.m. We're going to take it to the House of Representatives, and then later that afternoon at 1:30, we're going to take it to the Senate. We're hoping the governor will sign it. This is the law that says Connersville is 200 years old. They agree with it, and they're congratulating us. They're going to make a proclamation? A resolution, okay. This will all be done the 21st. It would be embarrassing if it was only John Baker and I up there. So please, put it down in your book. Let's have a nice contingency. And remember, Wednesday morning, we'll say it again tonight at the council, she has to have the number of people so they can have chairs or seats for us in those chambers. If you've never seen this done, I was there when they did Brookville. Very impressive. You need to be there. Is the press going to be there to cover it? One press is going to be, the other press is staying home, huh? Okay. All right. Let's see if I missed anything. Claims.
You want utilities first?
Whatever you say.
Okay, water is $53,217.96. Sewer's $116,604.85. Stormwater is $4,003.73. Trash is $52,555.29 for a total of $226,381.83.
City claims 271, amount of money $155,894.96. Did have a couple of questions. Continuing education, metal theft investigation, is that you, Chief?
Yes.
Metal theft investigation? What was that all about? Cost $2,848.
I'm not sure, Fran, I'd have to check that out, but we have a lot of metal thefts in this community like other communities.
Talking about education on metal thefts.
Well, there is, I'm not too sure right off without looking, you kind of caught me off guard, but I know they give classes in regards to precious metals and what they're worth, and what type of metals are being stolen and this type of thing. So I'd have to really check and see exactly what we're talking about. I know they have classes for that.
And I was wondering, in the park department, we spent money on a squirrel's tail. Can anybody?
I saw that in the last report.
Mike, can you explain that?
Fran, I just was told that that is a mandated topic now with our classes for this year. We have to have mandated topics on precious metals in regards to different metals that are worth stolen, this type of thing, out of houses, buildings, whatever.
Okay, thanks.
That's paint. It's paint for him.
Squirrel's tail was the color, that's the color of the bottom of this room.
Yeah, that's the brown,
Oh,
the beige
okay.
color.
I just wondered.
You thought we were buying squirrel's
I
tail?
didn't know what we were doing.
Might be on your hat, Fran.
Squirrel's tail. I thought maybe Mike wanted to for his hat. Dave, about the bulletproof vest, I see we have a claim in here for those.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes, we received 3 bulletproof vests, which is matched by a grant. And I can't remember the exact figure. I think it was around $2,800 or maybe
$23.94.
something like that. 23.8 something I think it was, and half of that comes back to us on the match grant.
Does everyone have a vest?
Everybody's got a vest, but they're getting outdated. One of the last times back when we first come into office under this administration, we got new vests. Everybody got new vests. Right now, we're trying to replace them as we go along because they run out after 5 years. And a lot of us are over 5 years, so instead of hitting the city at one time with X amount of dollars for 30 vests, we're trying doing them a year at a time with the grant money to ease that cost. So that's why you're seeing that right now. We bought 3 last year, we bought 3 this year. I think there was a couple bought before the year. I don't hold me on that, but we're trying to replace them as we go along, several at a time versus, 26 at once.
Okay.
So that's how that's going.
Okay, so thanks.
I have one question. Dave, you don't have to come up here, but do you think we're done for the year for buying salt?
I can answer that. Yes, we are.
Very good. Thank you.
We're not buying any more salt this year. I'm hoping the price goes down.
I had and I've never brought this up, it might just be something I'm not understanding, but on the Fayette County Treasurer, the council animal shelter expenses for February, is that a shared expense? Or
Shared
Yes.
expense.
Is that what that is?
It's
Okay.
every month.
Okay,
We pay half the
so it's
expenses.
$59.83 for the month of February, okay. Is it a 50/50 share, is that what it
Yes.
is? Okay.
I'll make a motion, Your Honor, that we accept the claims as stated.
Second that, please.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Fran Schommel.
Yes.
Leonard Urban.
Yes.
Mike Bishop.
Yes.
Ron Coldiron.
Yes.
Any further business to come before this board today? Have I missed anything? Mr. Baker?
No, sir.
Any of you? Sorry, the meeting was so long. Sharon from the park office, the secretary, has cookies and punch to celebrate having our first meeting here back in the little office room. I want you to all look around real good. We haven't done much in the basement. That can be another project another time. We do have a nice handicap lift out here on the side. It'll have a sidewalk pour to it, and we are going to make parking around the back. We're going to have a drive down the side. There's going to be parking all over. There's a big parking lot over here, so there, people ask about parking, there is. With no other business, don't forget, we have city council tonight at 7 o'clock. It'll be in this building. Invite everybody to come back, enjoy the day. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried, meeting adjourned.